Hi, and welcome to the Black Starters Podcast, featuring stories of Black business owners, leaders, and artists walking through their journey from the start through obstacles and onward to success. Powered by BlackStarters.com. And now, here's your host, Lauren Marie.
Hey Starters, Lauren here. In today's episode, I have with me Pam Perry of Pam Perry PR. But before we get into the interview, I do want to tell you a quick story. So I have a brother, he's a year older than me, and he plays basketball in Belgium right now. He's doing really well. But we're several hours apart in terms of time zone, and so he calls at weird hours. But every once in a while, we'll have these really deep conversations just about life and about making it. And and every time the conversation's a little different, but at the end of the day, it's always just like this sense of, yes, the odds are not necessarily in our favor, or yes, it's going to be really extremely difficult, and no, we don't necessarily have experience in all of these different realms, but, you know, we're not going to be 40 years old sitting on the stoop talking about how the man keeping us down. Like, we're going to find a way and we're going to make it happen. And so just going through and talking to these business leaders has been really inspiring, because it really gives me this sense of like, it can be done and I can be the one to do it. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right into the interview with Pam Perry. And she is literally a marketing genius. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot of value out of this episode. So let's just jump right in. And when someone asks you, what do you do for work? What do you say?
Oh, my goodness. It is, for a long time, I used to tell people I was a publicist.
Okay.
And they got that right away. But I really don't function so much as a publicist anymore. I consider myself a PR coach and a social media strategist. And obviously, social media is within the last 5-10 years or so, right? So before that, it was a publicist. So really, I teach people how to do it themselves for their own online branding.
So what was your very first job, and how did you eventually get into the industry that you're in today?
Well, not the first job like when you're a teenager.
No, like
right?
Your very first job.
Our very first job? Oh,
yes.
my God. Oh, my very first job was with clothes. You know, I love clothes. Mm-hmm. So it was in retail. In retail. So my first job was actually working in a retail store because I love clothes, and I heard you can get a discount. So that's what I did. I worked at the Limited, mm-hmm. and I also worked at Casual Corner, which is now gone. But the Limited, if you know about that was a big deal. And so I worked there on the weekends while I was in high school.
Okay, and then how did you eventually get into the field that you're in now? What was your first experience or encounter with PR and with social media?
Well, actually, I would say my pastor kind of put that bug in my ear. Ministry Marketing Solutions is my business. It's incorporated. And so it started in 2000, and really, I loved really being around ministry type of projects. I wasn't a preacher, wasn't called to sing, but we had great programming in our church. And in order to get people to come to the program, you had to tell people about it. So I would create flyers. I would make sure that I told everyone. I would give them the words, what to say. It became like I would mail out postcards. At a certain point in time, then faxes came along. But whatever it was, I would be promoting. And promoting was what I did because I wanted to get people to fill the seats, put peeps in the seats. So my pastor said one day, he says, "You're going to do PR for Jesus." So I was like, PR for Jesus? I didn't even really know what PR really meant. I just knew it meant promoting. And one time I remember actually having an event at our church where actually there was some news media that came. And then I really got the bug of like, okay, if you put enough information out there, you can really get the media attention. So that was really where it started. So from that standpoint, I always loved writing. And so when I was in college, I majored in journalism and PR. And that's where that came from.
Okay, so at what point did you have that moment of, I can actually turn this into my own business? I can actually make my own income from this idea. At what point did that begin to happen for you?
Yeah, that came like a while later. I mean, it wasn't, there were no entrepreneurs in my family. And I can't really remember any entrepreneurs that I actually saw growing up personally. I mean, outside of someone who's a lawyer or a doctor, that I guess you say they were entrepreneur, but no one that really took a passion that they had and made into a business. Now, I knew some people that had businesses, like, I don't know, but it didn't seem like it was a passion. It just seemed like that, like well, I'm from Detroit, so automotive type of businesses. So, some people that have automotive type of supplier companies, but that didn't seem like an entrepreneur, like a passion to say, okay, I could turn this into a business. These were people that were like, I want to structure my life and do a business. I think it probably was when I really realized I could make it into a business. Because remember, at one point in time, I was working for the Free Press. I worked there for about 7 years, and then I worked for the Salvation Army for about 7 years. And so I was a PR director, and then before that I was in advertising, and I kind of did sales.
Oh, I see.
So I guess you would say when I did sales, if you don't produce sales, you don't eat, because it was primarily on commission. So I think that was really like the bug. It was dependent on your own productivity. So after I had my daughter, I actually joined my husband, who had a business, Perry Marketing Group, and his business was primarily automotive related. Didn't like automotive. My passion was obviously ministry. And so I joined his company during the period of time between me having our daughter, and deciding whether I'm going to go back to the Salvation Army as a director of public relations. And I didn't go back to the Salvation Army, and I decided to work with him. I became immediate vice president of public relations. And I brought in ministry type clients. So at that point, it wasn't like I had to work on a project, but I had to bring in the client and actually work on the project. And that's where it really kind of dawned on me that everything I had done up until that point was based on the productivity and the passion that I had. I brought it in. I brought in the clients, understood the clients, talked to the clients, produced for the clients, and I had clients. Well, his business and my business changed, because obviously his is automotive and mine's is ministry related. I mean, from gospel plays to Christian authors, speakers, churches. So his business closed, automotive tanked, and then my business opened up full-time, Ministry Marketing Solutions, in 2000. And from there, it kind of changed a little bit, because at that point, the way I did PR was traditional. But then around 2000, a lot of things were changing. We got MySpace come on the scene. You got websites. You got all this. So at that point, I'm really building websites, writing content, doing that whole bit. And it was a lot easier to do PR versus, oh my God, it was so much harder before. we used to have these big, thick books that were like this thick, and they would be filled with media contacts, and we had to go through and just call and fax, and oh my God. So anyway, so the internet changed everything. So make a long story short, I decided that what I was doing in my career, that I could actually find clients that wanted my services and make that work. And I didn't know anyone that did ministry marketing solutions. I mean, I'm pretty much the pioneer in that. And so that became, even though the Salvation Army is a ministry, most people don't realize that, but to have a ministry marketing, and my target is primarily churches, local urban churches.
And now, here's a quick word from our supporters.
Hi, this is Dawn from Puka Pure and Simple. We're a line of natural handmade bath and body products. Come check us out at pukapureandsimple.com. And if you're trying to live a healthier life, join our Facebook group at The Best Life Tribe.
Now, let's get back to the show.
For people getting started, I know it will vary by industry and by specific business, but what's the best way to just like get started and get people to buy into your message or buy into your product or service?
I think if you really know who you're talking to, if you really know your audience, you just create an avatar of who that person is. So say if it's Lauren, and Lauren is a millennial and she likes finance and she shops here, she likes Whole Foods, whatever, you have a good avatar of what it is this person is that you want to talk to. They hang out here, they like this. So that means that you can create copy based on what Lauren likes. That means you can go places where Lauren likes. That means maybe you can advertise in things that she reads. Maybe you can attend some of the events where she attends. So the more you know about the client, the better. So for me, obviously, it's Christian authors. So I would go to trade shows. I'd go to Christian book shows. So I will go to, there's an organization called CBA, Christian Booksellers Association. So I will go to CBA, hang out there, and meet clients, potential clients. There's also NRB, National Religious Broadcasters, Ministry Marketing Solutions shows up there. So you're going to where your clients are and they get to know you. Now, the main thing is not just going. I always tell people go once and then maybe the next year go as a speaker. So for years I would go to conferences one time and then the following year I would go as a speaker, as a panelist or that sort of thing, getting to know the lay of the land. What could I add value to in terms of being a speaker, being a panelist, being a facilitator, something. And then that way I also got clients. Go to book shows. I've spoke a couple of times at the National Black Book Festival. Trying to think of other places where I go. Oh, church conferences, definitely. So I spoke at a lot of church conferences from DC to Atlanta, just Gospel Today. I wrote articles as well in the niche that I knew where my target audience would read. So if I knew that a lot of my potential clients were ministers, I knew they would read Gospel Today. So I wrote columns for Gospel Today. If I knew that they were going to be on television, then I would be on the Word Network or TBN or that sort of thing. So you just have to know who your client is, the avatar. The more you know about it and say, okay, well, where are they exactly? What newspaper, what magazine, what radio station? I even did little motivational moments on gospel radio stations as well. I did every Fridays. I did in Detroit. I did like a social media. What did he call it? Facebook Fridays. So people knew me from that. So knowing your audience and the niche, that's where you go. Yeah, you could go to places like just a basic Chamber of Commerce, but then it's such a hodgepodge of different people. So.
One of the things that I really liked that you said is how you're really narrowing down who it is that you're speaking to, but also what it is that you provide. So I think it's so easy for us to make a product and say, well, this could be good for this person and also that person and also that kind of a group and also those people. But really to be able to drill down, this is exactly what I do and this is exactly who I do it for. I actually noticed it in looking at your website.
So if there's a dentist, no. If it's a musician, no. If it's it's different ones. And so people think like, well, if I do that, then I'm going to miss out on having that type of client. Well, you probably wouldn't best serve that type of client because you're too spread out too thin. So that was my reason to really niche it in, because if I only have speakers, authors, or what I call entrepreneurs, then I have all the contacts, all the resources, and all the expertise just for them. Versus like someone who says, I have a sanitation or recycling business. I could probably help them, but I first of all, I wouldn't be passionate about it, but I could give them some basic skills on how to market and how to brand, how to build a website, but it just I wouldn't have the skill set or the resources to really help them further. So it's my business coach said, you get rich in a niche. And so the more you niche it down, the more you can be rich. So I always tell my clients to read Crush It. And they read it. Now, a lot of my clients are like Christians, right? So they're Christian. And so Gary is like this crude guy that cusses. He drinks wine. I mean, it's so enlightening because I said, if he can make money, $60 million companies, probably more than that now, probably 100 million. If he could do it and he's selling wine and cussing like a sailor, what could you do when you love the Lord and you're following his guideposts? So you just have to learn how to leverage the internet just like he did. So once they read it, they kind of get it and they come out of the shell of like, oh my God, I can't do a podcast. Oh my God, I can't do a video. Oh, Facebook is not just full of crazy people. I mean, whatever their thoughts were about the internet, they become empowered after reading his book. And then I also have a book as well, but my book basically is like a regular book that they would read. It's called Synergy Energy. But the Crush It book is just, they are like, I can't believe you wouldn't have me read that book. I said, it's because it's so in your face. It's only 88 pages too.
So what can we be looking forward to with you and with your brand? What are some projects and some products or services that we can be looking forward to on?
Well, my sales funnel, so to speak, is really, I take people where they are. So the first thing I want people to do is go get my MP3s at my website, PamPerryPR.com, and they listen to them. They'll figure out if I'm a right person for them to work with, because they'll hear me over 5 hours. It's called the Get Out There Kit. So they'll hear that. And then if they want, they could join my mentoring program. It's a little bit hands off there, where they could kind of get a little bit more about me. But if they really, really want to work with me, then they can join my group coaching program. And then if they want, they could do a VIP coaching program. So it just kind of like takes you a little bit of pay them at a time until they get to the top. It's like, I want to work with her one-on-one. Because I never really want people to just say, oh, okay, here's my thing, you need to work with me. Because a lot of people watch me for a long time before they decide to work with me. And the same thing here, I watch them as well. And then it's like, okay, are you really doing what I told you to do? Why is your website whack? Didn't you listen to that podcast? So we go back and forth, and they have to know if people can take me. So really, if they go to PamPerryPR.com and know if they could say, you know what, I really think I could deal with this person. And some people just, it's okay. If they can't, it's like, you know what, I really don't want to deal with anybody like that. That's fine. There's a lot of other people that they can go to, and I can even recommend some if they wanted to. But basically, they go to PamPerryPR.com, get that. Then they can move into other products and things I have.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, that was PamPerryPR.com, and be sure to check her out on social media as well. She says specifically Snapchat. She would really enjoy that.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, so also check out the show links on blackstarters.com. And if you'd like to support this work, on the homepage, you'll see an orange button that says Become a Patron. Click on that, and you can donate there. That's it for this episode. If you enjoyed this and got any kind of value out of it, I would appreciate a 5-star review and any feedback that you have. So that's it. Catch you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Black Starters Podcast. For more exclusive content, don't forget to log on to blackstarters.com. There you can find all our social media sites. And if you like this episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review, comment, and share.